Amongst my special interests are animation. I grew up with so many types of cartoons, nobody is surprised that I was glued to the television. But my parents did not want me to stay glued to that, so they proceeded to not do anything about it, or maybe limit my time to 1 hour. On television, my favorite kind of show other than sitcoms were cartoons. Anime showed up later, you'll see. However, aside from a few shorts or Disney, my first big hyperfixation was Scooby-Doo. I used to watch that show so many times, every spin-offs, I just didn't know about the movies until the live action stuff. But what I didn't know was that Simple Plan theme that kept playing every time I went to the Flash website. The thing that made it easy to get into is how formulaic it is. The formula is always the same, so I feel comfortable watching the same thing over and over. Learn about the situation, speak to everyone, find some clues, and maybe a chase sequence, and boom, we find the perpetrator on a very low budget. Scooby-Doo also has the watchers to understand the clues they're given, encouraging curiosity for children to question their environment, while the slapstick mostly exists to lighten the mood, because not everything has to be grim and dark in this mostly gloomy show. I enjoyed most Scooby-Doo media. Even Cyber Chase is a pretty enjoyable experience when you don't have a reviewer screaming in your ear about how much they hate it. Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about 2010's YouTube. So what made me stop? I watched Scooby-Doo after watching one episode of Pokemon, thought about them crossing over, which scared me so much I stopped being into Scooby-Doo. Still watch the movies from some reason. Shaggy probably awakened something inside of me. Alright, autism. Scooby-Doo's recognizable characters and having somewhat of the depths of mystery books being slapped on them makes the franchise autistically appealing, adding a certain sense of wonder to even the most basic Scooby-Doo media. The slapstick or visual humor makes this even more autistically pleasing to watch slash play. I played on Mask and enjoyed every second of it due to that aspect being present in the collectathon gameplay. I like it. Another show I really enjoyed a lot as a kid is Robert Sea Creature. I had an hyperfixation on Robert when one of my cousins suggested it to me so that I could watch it on VRAC TV. Basically, it was a mix of Nickelodeon, Disney, and Cartoon Network for some reason. It barely had any original programming aside from a sitcom and a news/vlog section. Every weekday at 7 AM, SpongeBob would be playing, and from 2003 to 2005, I would watch SpongeBob. That's how much I love SpongeBob, and the fact that we had satellite TV that barely worked so that I could watch it on Nick too. This is how hyperfixations work. At least it's not Sonic that lasted 7 years. SpongeBob feels very neurodivergent as a character, while the rest of the world is normal. Even Patrick has his own more bitter moments, despite making some very stupid decisions all of the time. I used to like Squidward a lot, but right now I just don't really care about him, which is probably the reason I've been mistreating him so much. But as for me, I'm closer to season 1 SpongeBob, hence why it's my favorite season. I have my limits despite my autism. That said, the Spongeverse might not be a very consistent from episode to episode. Someone theorized that each episode could be its own alternate universe, so maybe that would be possible. SpongeBob himself is the first character I could relate to, which was a great feeling at the time.
Savez-vous pourquoi Bob est à VRAC TV? On trouvait qu'il faisait pitié tellement il est con.
Look at Garfield. he might be fat too, so I could relate to a lot of his insecurities and his feelings. However, he is too much of a jerk for me to truly love him. I think SpongeBob was better at portraying my autism, but even that varied from episode to episode, especially in season 2/3, where they made SpongeBob dumb in order to appeal to the boys are stupid but funny and the girls are smart but annoying trope, while straight up making him very childish in the movie in order to him to get a coming of age story. Steven Hillenburg even said that it was the send-off finale of the project, I think, while plenty of plot points and other stuff went unresolved. I was kinda disappointed by that movie, but I still somewhat enjoyed it. Season 4 took all of the aspects that I hated about season 2/3 and amplified them most of the time. At least the characters became more expressive, sort of. I enjoyed season 5 at first, but then no more cable for you. Digital TV only, which does not include neither VRAC TV nor YTV. Yay! Fortunately, I started relying on the internet even more as a source of animation. Most of the stuff I watched was sprite animations on Newgrounds, or straight up parody. They were shorter than your average cartoons, aside from an exception or two. One of these exceptions was someone who reanimated Weird Al's Albuquerque for 11 minutes, which was so long I stopped watching after a while. I shall finish it someday. Most of these cartoons were copyrighted parodies, leaving most original cartoons to be like Leo and the Red Guy or Girl Chen in Paradise. Girl Chen in Paradise is probably one of my favorite spoofs, as yes, it is an anime parody, yet contains no already copyrighted characters, so it's all original. Every anime trope from the 90s/2000s is here, and is made fun of. The stupid main character who's surprised at absolutely everything, the angsty rival with a dark past, the grumpy master who barely talks, and the random girl who's only sexualized for fan service, etc. All in glorious, badly translated dialogue. As someone who stuck to shonen anime on YTV, I can say that this is a perfect parody. I get every joke and laugh about that every single beat while rewatching it multiple times. Unfortunately, it stopped after like 3 episodes. The amount of stuff it had is perfect for autistic people who obsessed over anime in the 2000s like me. Again, I'd love to see more episodes, but I won't hold my breath because Game Grumps exists and it makes a lot of profit. But what if someone did the opposite, parodying Western anime instead of Eastern animation? No, not Excel Saga yet, it's a bit more complicated than that. Undergarments and Stockings with Belt is a parody of Western animation made by a bunch of Gainax writers who drank too much adult juice at a Gurren Lagann party. Seriously, every episode of the show that lasts 11 minutes experiments with aspects of adult cartoons, throw in some incredible action scenes using too much budget for the rest of the show to the point where there's a flash animated episode and you get whatever and Stocking. The thing is that unlike Girl Chan, it doesn't 100% understand its aspirations. It's like if you never watched South Park and had to write an essay on it. It's about this town called South Park with these kids. They're probably gonna learn stuff, but it's like for adults and they swear. And I think it's about a king whose life ends each episode. the end. You see what I mean? So they make up so much garbage that the episodes become wildly different. The directors are all different, so of course the variety prevents me from ever being bored at all. Due to that variety, it stimulates my autistic brain to continue just to see what's going to happen next. The use of so many American elements can be very jarring to the point where you're wondering how much American animation they watch, making this show kind of an autistic alternative to actual adult cartoons.
I know that you'll be back.
Sure, not everything aged well, just like older adult cartoons, but also there's a cliffhanger, so be aware of that before you watch it. And the cliffhanger lasts until the next season is out on Netflix, probably this year or next year. Still, I like it a lot more than a lot of adult cartoons, surprisingly. But before we get to that, Excel Saga. I think Excel Saga did a lot of what Panty and Stocking did before Panty and Stocking, like 11 or 10 years before it. Each episode is in a different style, from Western animation to a romantic comedy to horror. Excel Saga goes absolutely everywhere, yet stays consistent lore-wise, and with the progression of the character arcs. But also there's the final bonus episode that has so many adult things and is so raunchy that, you know, it never aired on TV. At least it's on YouTube, where I actually watched it. From Excel's obsession with Il Palazzo to the show's lack of ability to focus on absolutely anything, Excel is also one of the most insane protagonists you'll ever see. Like, she makes Naruto look smart. The show feels like a school assignment where they're going to give the autistic person so much freedom that they're going to focus on the hyperfixation they currently have, and only that. But unfortunately, a new hyperfixation has arrived, so might as well include it. But also they decide to include themselves for some reason. But the thing is that, how can I say that? Self-inserts are kind of autistic, but that's another subject for another time. I doubt the writers or the director are autistic, but the show just feels itself autistic. I kind of wish newer anime would do something like this, and the closest we've got to that is No Kotan. At least we're getting the anime about zombie cats, Night of the Living Cat. JoJo fans are gonna love this one. I can find many aspects that are autistic about JoJo, including the over-the-top character designs that are somehow even crazier than most shonen anime. The story is also over-the-top to the point where you can laugh at it, but at the same time you take the characters and the story very seriously and can be invested. JoJo taps into that aspect also by being very bizarre and just including so many goddamn references. Surprising. Night of the Living Cat does the same thing by using action movie references as translation for a cat that's stalking. This manga is an apocalypse where everybody gets turned into cats, and not much else happens to them, honestly. Ooh, a cat virus. So scary. Most autistic aspect of the show is that our main character has amnesia, however, he knows absolutely everything about cats. It reminds me of my hyperfixations. like Sonic during 2003 to 2007. If you don't believe me, here's my Ape Escape video. And the worst part is that the manga kinda embraces his hyperfixations as the most badass thing possible. So you get all of the most impressive details about cats that were ever published in a book. It's funny how this leads to many exposition scenes where people take these silly cat facts absolutely seriously. Some of the jokes is that the governments also love cats, to the point where some departments are named after cat puns. And everyone takes this seriously, again. So it is a joke that only the audience can understand. The action scenes are so ridiculous, you'd be surprised how overpowered the cats are in this universe. They can rival many characters that you would consider overpowered. Kirito, meet cats! I enjoy Sword Art Online, but I enjoy making fun of Kirito too. Also, Kirito, now that you're a cat, you're an edgy cat now. I would call this an autistic manga because I have only read the manga, but let's pretend I have watched the anime, so I know that it's now autistic animation. So I don't have a good segue, so let's go to the next section. As much as it pains for me to say it, I can only talk about two more specific cartoons that are autistic, because or else this video will blow up so much and I won't have time to edit it all. And oh god, we're talking about modern cartoons. After a certain time when cartoons were more obscured by anime, especially during the late 2000s, cartoons came back and used a lot of elements from anime by having plot with character arcs and a lot of lore. It wasn't rare to see that in a usual action cartoon, but in an action comedy, yeah, no, it was rarely the case. While Adventure Time did this after a while as the show was written as it went on, Gravity Falls did this a lot earlier. Due to the very recognizable, simpler designs, these shows have the ability to stay in my head at all times. There's a reason why I was so active in the Steven Universe fandom, as the story and the characters lived rent-free in my head for all eternity. Peridot also acts surprisingly as autistic as me, while Pearl just exists. I don't know if I like her, I don't know if I hate her, but she's apparently also autistic according to another video. I used to call people Claude in real life, but then someone was offended by it, and I stopped. This is wild. It feels autistic, but this is what kids' cartoon had become, surprisingly. He still gets some goofy cartoons here and there about nothing, but these kids' cartoons mostly evolved. The most autistic example of American animation I have is Dead End Paranormal Park on Netflix. Yes, it was cancelled after 2 seasons. Not only is it created by someone who is autistic, Amish still, but also Norma, I can relate a lot to her. A lot of her emotions, or meltdowns, or hyperfixations, or behavior, etc. It's surprisingly close to home. I haven't seen any other autistic character portrayed this well since Steven Universe. The show itself is similar to Steven Universe, with a lot of really interesting themes, some deep lore, and it follows the usual action comedy cartoon format, but spooky, so it's pretty fun. It's too bad my Netflix subscription ended after I finished episode 8. I have yet to finish season 1 and to go to season 2's painful cliffhanger ending. I'd love to someday, same with Bojack Horseman, which I forgot to finish. Bojack Horseman, although I don't care about the celebrity jokes, who am I? Someone who likes celebrities?
No, don't like them. I don't care for them at all.
The story is what I care about and goes to some places. Some very obscure place. However, the reason why I started Bojack is because of Tuca and Birdie. A very stylish show that takes Bojack's aesthetics and pushes them to the absolute limit. This show knows it's a cartoon, so it's pulling all of the levers. Not only are the aesthetics overwhelming, but also the show includes many dark themes in the least subtle way possible, to the point where even an autistic person like me could understand it. Everything is exaggerated to the point where every moment feels memorable. It is very comparable to what happens when I go outside. It's all 300 miles per hour, with everyone talking all of the time, but also there are these very silent moments, but even then they aren't really subtle. Tuca and Birdie feels very refreshing in that aspect, especially compared to no, we're saving that for a sequel. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. Bye-bye!